Hi everybody, it's Brant Morgan here, and believe it or not, I am transmitting to you from a little village in Alsace, France. And that's just one of the many advantages we wanderlust entrepreneurs have in being able to choose where we're going to work. But today I want to talk to you about something that's really near and dear to my heart, and that is, how do you make your retreat more transformational? There are lots of different kinds of retreats, but in my mind, the best ones change you in some fundamental way. And usually it's a deep, lasting change, some discovery you make about yourself that you didn't even know was possible. Retreats can do this by taking you beyond your mind, beyond what you're used to, beyond your comfort zone. I like to say that transformational retreats take you into your adventure zone. A place that's unfamiliar, maybe even a little scary, but a place where you break old habits and bust through boundaries, make new discoveries about yourself, and really open up to new possibilities. But these changes don't happen by accident. They're actually orchestrated. They're orchestrated by the retreat leader, you, in very specific ways. And I'll get into that in just a minute. So, what does a good transformational retreat look like? Well, I'll give you an example of the one that I know best. When I was working with Don Miguel Ruiz, the author of the Four Agreements, doing workshops and programs based on his book, we did a lot of retreats at Teotihuacan, the birthplace of the Toltec tradition. Our ideal client is basically was suffering from a lot of different ills, everything from a lack of self-esteem to feeling unappreciated, to wanting to discover her power and purpose, to feeling a deep need to connect with spirit. In a nutshell, she was fundamentally unhappy and didn't really know why. Well, Miguel had already pinpointed the source of human unhappiness, namely our social and family conditioning, right? We're all put through it from the time we're born until the time we die. All our beliefs and attitudes and concepts and basically, well, let's admit it, lies our parents taught us about ourselves that interfere with our happiness, and if we're not careful, can even take over and tend to run our lives. You know, you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not worthy of love, you'll never make it. The list basically is endless. But Miguel knew there's basically a happy person deep down inside everybody. And so he figured all he really needed to do on these retreats was to show our people who they really were beneath the masks of social conditioning. So he devised a way of stripping it away in 4 days. Now get that. He devised a way of stripping away the social conditioning in 4 days so they could see who they really are. A retreat leader is basically reverse engineering the final result of his or her retreat. Deciding in advance what you want to bring out in your people, then designing the retreat to do just that. And you can do exactly the same with your retreat. It doesn't matter what the subject or what you want to achieve, but you have to know what you want as your final result, and then you have to start reverse engineering. And that starts with choosing the right venue for your retreat, the particular location that corresponds with the theme of your retreat, and that's going to facilitate the final result you want. The theme of our retreats was discovering your true self and learning, basically, how to be a happy person. And our playground, as I said, was Teotihuacan, a complex of ancient pyramids, roadways, and ceremonial chambers that was actually an ancient mystery school. The place was actually designed to do the very thing we were doing. So all we had to do was go back and recreate the mythology with our own people. Teotihuacan is known as the place where humans become God, the place basically where they realize their own divinity and begin to live it. And its mythology is that of the two-headed serpent, a fierce-looking but basically benevolent beast that devours what humans think they are. their bodies, their minds, their beliefs, their attitudes, and reveals who they really are, the boundless eternal spirits inside the bodies that came here to play and learn and love and enjoy our lives on planet Earth. So at one end of this complex was this temple of Quetzalcoatl, the symbolic head of the feathered serpent. And at the other was the pyramid of the moon, the second head of the serpent. And in the middle was the Avenue of the Dead, a kilometer-long symbolic body of the serpent that connected the two heads. And on the sides of the avenue were various complexes and ceremonial chambers and ancient living spaces, all of which could be used, all of which we got to use to connect with the spirit of the place and to deepen our people's experience. Well, to make a long story short, we take our people through one giant ritual of death and rebirth when we went to this place. On the first day, we took them to a grand meadow to review their lives. And then at the temple of Quetzalcoatl, the first head of the giant serpent, we had them symbolically jump into the mouth of the serpent, who symbolically began to devour them. Then on day 2, after reminding them that they were in the belly of the serpent and that their body was being digested and dissolved, we told them that this was their last day on earth, the last day of their life, and that they needed to prepare themselves for their death. How about that for a real experience? But when we told them that, we didn't tell it in some sort of frivolous way. We were dead serious. We were serious because we knew that in order for the ritual to work, we needed to create a believable experience, something that to them was real. In fact, I'll never forget when Miguel was teaching us how to do this ritual, he looked at us teachers with just total seriousness and he said, "You have to kill them. You have to kill them." What he meant is you have to make it real. So remember that, guys. Whatever experience you have for your people, whether it's a ritual, a ceremony, a tour with a purpose, whatever, you have to make it real enough to reach down and change your people on some deep fundamental level. Well, how we killed our people I'll leave for later, but suffice it to say, when they reached the place where it was the time to drop their body, the entire group was looking pretty somber, and a lot of them were in tears. They had reviewed their lives in absolute silence. They had made amends. They had said goodbye to their loved ones. They were actually ready to leave it all behind. And then in silence, each one would meet with a specially appointed angel of death, someone who would come to them and tell them it was their time, and symbolically whisper in their ear and take their life. And then after lying on the ground for as long as necessary, the spirits of those people would, essentially it was their physical bodies, but symbolically it was their spirits that would lift themselves out of their physical bodies, bury their symbolic bodies, and perform a memorial ceremony, honoring themselves and their own lives. What a beautiful ceremony. What a heartfelt way to look deep within yourself and begin to get a sense for who you really are beyond all the social trappings that we call real. And then finally after that, everyone would gather together and meet in another special place that we called heaven. And we'd all come together with just such joy and wonder, like all of us angels, laughing and slapping each other on the back and saying, "What a great job you did during that lifetime." And everyone with new light in their eyes and having dropped basically a lifetime of burdens. And yet everyone was still in their physical bodies, experiencing as though they were angels. So it was a beautiful ritual. Right? Each day's activity, right, really carefully choreographed to create a specific result. And each day we'd move further and further down the Avenue of the Dead, each day shedding a finer and finer layer of the skin, so to speak, There was the dropping of the body in the place of the earth, cleansing of the emotions in the place of the water, cleansing of the mind in the place of the air, the purging of passion in the place of the fire, and then the final climb up the pyramid of the moon, the second head of the serpent, right? Our symbolic exit as pure spirit from the body of the serpent. And then, as if this weren't enough, all this was followed by an airy visit to the palace of the butterflies and a climb up this massive pyramid of the sun, where everyone would symbolically fly to the sun and merge with the source. And then finally flying over the entire complex in a hot air balloon the following day, seeing the big picture from the sky. What a sight! And what deep meaning after 4 days of ritual and ceremony. So, bottom line, just like endless wonder and amazement and discovery. So many inspiring places, so many rituals, ceremonies, each one shedding more layers of illusion, each one taking our people deeper into themselves till they knew beyond the shadow of a doubt who they were, through experience, through discovery, through communion with each other, and all of it through a carefully executed plan that gave our people a much deeper look at themselves and opened up new possibilities for their lives. So that's a glimpse of what we did at Teo, and a great cauldron for change. And we'd go back again and again, doing it with variations, getting more creative year after year. And then, finally getting tired of that mythology and those rituals and doing something completely different. Just making it up, but making it real for our people and having a very solid intent in mind about what we wanted to achieve. So there are great cauldrons for change all over the world. And I'm sure you guys have already chosen one that will work for you. And if you're not sure, remember that you can make any place a cauldron for change just by putting meaning into it and transmitting that meaning to your people. Obviously, you don't have to take your people to Teotihuacan. You don't have to take them through the kinds of rituals that we did. But you do need to design an experience that changes them. You do need to take them out of the classroom, out of the mind. Whatever your theme, whatever your intent, design it, then make it happen. So here's my question to you. What's your retreat all about? Is it experiential? And if so, how? Is it transformational? If so, how? I'd love to see your answer to the following question written below. How can you make your retreat more transformational? Something your people will not only remember, but something that changes them for the rest of their lives. That's my question to you. Love to see your answer. Put it in the space below, and so you can share it. Maybe we can all chat about it some more. But I hope you picked up some information and a little inspiration for what you might be able to do on your retreat and design it in your way with your people. Change them in some beautiful, fundamental way. So that's all for right now. I'll sign off wishing you well and hoping to see you when I get back to the U.S. Well, actually, I can see you before, can't I? But let's keep in touch here on Facebook and let us know how we can support you. We're always eager to share our experience and give you a boost in any way that we can. Okay, all the best. See you soon.